Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Hometown Musician Spotlight. We're coming to you from the Austin Community Tavern, where every night is the Blues Jam. And my guest tonight will be performing here, and he is a member of several Blues Hall of Fames. It is my pleasure to introduce Marty Big Dog Mercer.
Hey,
How are you, Marty?
great to meet you finally.
Yes.
Yeah, we've been trying. We've been trying for a minute to get together. Yeah.
It's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
So, Marty, where were you born? Where'd you grow up? What schools did you go to?
I was born in Waukegan, Illinois. From there, we moved around. I went to Milwaukee and then back to Illinois. I grew up in Antioch, is where I spent most of my time. Antioch, Illinois. That's where I graduated from, class of 91. I don't know anybody money, so it's good. I can tell you where I'm from.
That's right.
What year I graduated.
You don't have to just go by your last name. Right?
No.
Like that.
No.
So, what were your first, or who were your first musical influence? Growing up, what kind of grabbed your attention musically?
My parents listened to music even when I was a little kid, so there's always something playing. My dad was fond of like country music. My mom was into other stuff like Helen Reddy and what's not. But there was always music being played. Yeah. And the nice thing about my parents was, as long as they didn't have to hear it, they didn't care what we listened to. So I could listen to anything I wanted to.
Like Frank
Zappa. Well, I actually, later on in life, sure. My dad worked in radio, so he would bring home crates full of, the albums after they would get the radio play, and then they'd go out of rotation. They would throw them away, so he'd bring them home. So I had like crates full of all kinds of stuff, even like Casey and the Sunshine Band and Liberace and Sesame Street records and whatever they happened to be playing. Popeye, I remember the movie Popeye came out. I had that soundtrack too, so that was always laying around. My dad was a guitar player, played a little bit like at family parties. He'd pull out a guitar and try to entertain people after they had a few cocktails. And then I wanted to be a drummer actually growing up, and I joined band in school, and everybody wanted to be a drummer. So then my next choice was guitar, and they didn't offer that. So I wanted to be a trombone player, and I hated it, but I stuck with it because it was better than singing in choir. So I did that for a while, and the minute that I could, I did a bunch of odd jobs, begged my parents, and I saved up money, and I got a cheap acoustic guitar, kind of like that one, that piece of junk behind you. And I played on that thing for a bunch of years. But the reason that I really wanted to be a guitar player was the first time I heard Black Sabbath. Paranoid was the album that I heard. And then I heard the same guy that turned me on to that gave me Masters of Reality. And that was all over with. I wanted to make that nasty sound, that fuzz tone, man. It became like my religion almost, Yeah. So that's how I got started in music.
Yeah. How did the blues sneak into your life?
My parents actually took me to see the Blues Brothers when it was out in the theaters, and my dad was also a movie buff. We saw a lot of movies, a lot of them we probably shouldn't have as young kids, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers and stuff like that. I had nightmares about that one. But he took us to see that, and for me, though, the takeaway for that, besides was the two guys that danced on the stage in the nice suits and everything, was actually John Lee Hooker on Maxwell Street playing. And I just remember that as a kid, just loving that scene. And years later, I found out that was actually Muddy Waters' band backing him up on that. And a good friend of mine it was his dad playing drums, Walter Big Eye Smith, Kenny Beady Eye Smith. So that was really cool. So that I didn't know that at the time, but that's kind of what got me into it. And then I was into like 60s and 70s classic rock. It wasn't called classic rock at that time, but it was classic rock. And I found a Canned Heat album, and it was called Turn Up the Heat. And it turned out it was actually like an import of Hooker and Heat from John Lee Hooker and Canned Heat. They were just backing up John Lee Hooker. I burned that thing out, and then my grandmother lived pretty close to a mall, and they were getting ready to go from cassettes to CDs, and so they were getting rid of all the cassettes, and they were like selling them for 50 cents a piece, $1 a piece. And I just happened to kind of gravitate towards the blues section because there was all this stuff. There was just a ton of it there, and I was throwing them in the cart, and I went home with a big giant box of that stuff, and started realizing that some of the songs I was listening to classic rock, like Jimi Hendrix and all these other guys, they were actually playing some of these blues tunes that were written by these guys on these cassettes that I found. So that became my love with playing blues. And I don't know, I've always kind of got into it ever since then. So
well, you really carved out a niche. I mean, you've getting accolades, and for instance, Joliet Blues Hall of Fame for one. Any great memories about playing in the Joliet area?
That's where I got my name. Like there was a guy named Twist Ferguson, this old black guy. He was, if anybody knew him, man, he was one of a kind. The mold was broken when they made Twist, and he could be a real son of a bitch, but he could also be a super sweet guy. And so we kind of had a love-hate relationship, but I definitely loved him a lot more than I ever hated him, kind of thing. But it was back in the early 2000s, and everybody was calling each other dog at the time, and I'm a big dude, so I became Big Dog, and it stuck. And I didn't actually like it at first. I was like, it kind of made me sound like a wrestler or something stupid, you know? So, but there was a couple of guys that wouldn't let it die. And every time I go to a jam session like we're at tonight, and I'd sign up as Marty, and they would scratch it out and write Big Dog on there. And it just kind of stuck. So, I mean, I made a name for myself in Joliet before I moved away from there. Played a lot of music in Joliet, the Lockport area, Romeoville, Bolingbrook, all those areas.
So you are on your 24th year of sobriety, and that's amazing.
Yep.
What has that done for your playing, both physically and your songwriting? Because you are somewhat of a prolific songwriter too, aren't you?
If you say so. If you say so. What has it done for me? I mean, I'm alive.
Yes.
And that's just the easiest, most simple answer that I could possibly give. I'm alive. I wouldn't be alive had I not quit. So, and no judgment to anybody else who does it. I practiced a lot, and I tried to get good at drinking and doing drugs and all that stuff, and I just never got good at it. And it was just way more hassle than it was ever worth. And the minute that when I finally decided to quit, it actually took me like a year before I could even go back to a bar, before I trusted myself to even walk into a bar without ordering a drink. And I wasn't the kind of guy that drank every single day, but if I grabbed a beer, man, that was the end of it. I was going to get drunk that night. So that's what it's done for me. It's kept me alive.
In your off time, I see you just love to refurbish guitars and other instruments. What first got you kind of, interested in that stuff? And would you eventually like to have your own guitar store one day or some type of music shop?
Well, I used to run a repair shop when I was living in Joliet. It was out of my house, and everything that I've ever done, pretty much the offices and stuff, have been out of my house. I was working there, was doing work for like 3 or 4 different guitar stores that were around. Guitar Center came into town and like wiped everybody out. And I was doing work for them for a little while. It was all their repairs. They were sending it my way. And then eventually they got their own repair guy. And I didn't have any more work either because everybody was just going there. And then I moved out of the area too. And I moved out here. So, but I broke all my guitars and I had to learn how to fix them. I messed up the frets on 3 of my guitars. At the time I owned 3 guitars, and all 3 of them were basically unplayable because I did it. So I took some classes at the Chicago School of Guitar Making in Chicago and learned how to do it. And so I don't really, I do it for money. I'm not refurbishing instruments, but it just seems like lately I've been getting a lot of really rough instruments that were worthy of taking pictures of before and after. When I brought me a friend of mine's kid brought me a early 70s Epiphone, and the thing was just destroyed. And I was really proud of it. By the time I got done, it looked like it was a brand new neck. So, I mean, I'm actually pretty good at it. So that's why I do it. It's not a bad way to make a few extra bucks when I'm sitting at home too.
What are some of the things that you're still aspiring to do, on the your musical ladder, if you will? Is there anything that, is on the back burner, anything you're working on that
I guess you could say I've got so many irons in the fire that you can't even see the fire anymore. Like I don't have I'm sorry, I keep hitting your microphone. I don't have a manager, I don't have a booking agent, I don't have any of that stuff. So the 100+ dates that I do every year, I book that. Every once in a while I do get some help from somebody so I mean it's
great. Well, I like to ask a couple fun questions before I wrap up the interview usually, and not everybody has an answer right away. But so if there was any one room, any one venue, outdoor, indoor, past or present, that you have never played, that you would like to play just once?
What's that place out in Red Rocks?
Red Rocks.
Yeah, that would be cool. I bet.
Yeah.
Because that's got to be an amazing experience playing to, especially if it was full,
Yeah.
But even empty, I think it'd be fun just to sit up there and play a little bit and just hear what it sounded like. Right?
Yeah, definitely. That's a very popular answer to that question.
And I've never been there, but I've just seen it on TV and stuff, but it looks really cool.
Yeah. The other question would be, if you could trade places for a whole weekend with another musician, or possibly nudge another musician out of a band and sit in with that band, Is there kind of like a dream scenario where
like a dream rhythm section kind of thing?
Rhythm section?
I'd probably have to, sitting here right
Yeah.
now, my answer would probably be the Meters.
Oh,
That's probably the band I'd want to be
yes.
in. Yeah.
Mhm.
That guy's I can't remember his name now. I'm drawing a blank, but he is a fantastic guitar player, and I just love that band.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Have you hearing any Meters tonight, you think?
Ben picked the set list. I don't know what I'm playing.
Yeah, he does play the Meters song sometime, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, so that would be
He asked me what I wanted to play. I said, he was in the band for a while, so I told him, you know the material. You tell me what you want to play, and
that's right.
just remind me before we do it so I can know if I remember how to play it.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
well, Marty, since you said you're the one in charge of promotion, is there anything you'd like to tell anybody on how to follow Marty Big Dog Mercer?
we are so easy to find online. If you just start talking and typing in Big Dog, and when you get the M-E in there, I'm going to pop up all over the place.
Okay.
But BigDogMercer.com is my website.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on Facebook and Instagram and all that kind of stuff. And I got a personal page, and some people appreciate my humor and some people don't. So there's also a business page for people that just want to see the music, right? Yes. You and I are friends on the personal page. Even. Right. I mean, I don't.
And I enjoy your stories.
Well, okay.
I love the realness.
Well, some people don't like it. Whatever,
I like real people. Yeah. So, well, that is going to wrap it up for this edition of the Hometown Musician Spotlight. I want to thank again my guest, Marty Mercer.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes,
I'm glad we finally got to do this.
Marty.
Yeah.
Yes. And until next time, peace, everybody. Peace.